government enshrined protections are not real. Rights that as we know them, are just things that we recognize as things.
This is one of the nuttiest arguments about rights that I have ever heard. Tim Pool has no idea. Like, he understands he can name individual rights, but he doesn't necessarily understand what they are or like where they come from. And Andrew Wilson's take on rights is, I don't even know. He might be a psychopath.
Of value to us. So for instance, I usually define it as simply, you have a right to speak freely. If you're in the middle of the woods and you're buck naked, you can say whatever you want. You have a right to keep and bear arms. Pick up a stick, sharpen it, pointy stick, you can defend yourself. Ain't no one going to stop you. The question is, when you get into conflict with someone else, where is that line drawn? The line is drawn very simply at the aggressor. I don't know why that's even a question worth asking. When I'm in a confrontation with someone else, who's aggressing upon who and who's trying to deny somebody their right? The person who's attempting to deny the right is the person in the wrong. That's where the line is drawn. Real simple stuff. So the reality is, rights are recognized as things that we can and must do to survive and maximize potential. A right doesn't have to be necessary for survival. The right to free speech isn't necessary for survival. The right to peacefully protest, the right to not all of these rights are necessarily needed for survival, and not all of them are obligations to act. Rights are force, and I think that this is where the insanity comes in.
You think rights are force?
Government.
Yeah, right. Oh, before we get into the insanity, please subscribe. You're going to be super excited that you did, because when I'm a huge YouTuber and I'm super famous, you're going to be able to tell your friends that you subscribed to me way before I even had 1,000 followers. Just go ahead and hit the button. You'll help me out a lot, and I appreciate it.
What do you mean rights are force?
You're talking about government protections.
I'm talking about period. I'll explain what I mean. A right to me is an entitlement absent duty. That's a right.
I don't even know what the hell he's talking about here. An entitlement absent duty. I have the right to this thing, but I don't have to do anything to get it. So maybe you could define a right as that.
Okay, you're entitled to it, but you have no duty.
What does that mean?
It means that you have it. So like, okay.
Entitlement to speak.
Yeah, so if you have a right to own a gun.
To speak.
No.
I don't know why Tim gets hung up on the particular right here.
If you have a right to own a gun, do you have a duty to own a gun?
What do you have a duty to speak?
No, you don't have a duty to speak.
If you have a right to vote,
the principle doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's right.
That's your argument.
It's an entitlement, but absent a duty.
But you can speak.
Yeah, you can.
Here we go.
And so
until you can't, the question somebody stops you with force.
So you're talking about government restrictions are made up by us as a people.
Just people can adhere to your rights without any form of government. If you're walking down the street and you speak, and a guy turns around and smacks you in the mouth and breaks your jaw, right? He has now used force against whatever this right you think you
Look at his face when he says right. It's just nuts.
Have to speak. You have no right to do shit except whatever you can enforce. Right. Your mechanism is
what he is saying. This is insane. And you could think that I'm misinterpreting him, but I'm not, because I've heard him make this point on his show, on his podcast, when he's talking to women. His argument is that women on his show, he'll make the argument that women have no rights that aren't granted to them by men because they can't enforce their rights or protect their rights themselves. Essentially, what he's the psychopathic, the insane part of this from Andrew Wilson is the fact that he is saying this, and there's no sense of like not understanding that there's an inherent value in humanity, that where freedom comes from, and that if I take this action upon you, I'm not violating your right because you can't defend yourself. It's an insane way of viewing the world, and it shows kind of a lack of underlying moral guidance about just the inherent goodness of people and the inherent value of human life. He gets into talking about Christian values later on in this same video. Like, so I don't understand how he can possibly think this way.
Is force, and the mechanism against you is force.
And so
one of the things he's saying here is that exercising your rights is the use of force, and it's not. Okay, I don't need to interfere with your ability to pursue your own interests in order to exercise my right to free speech, in order to purchase a firearm. I'm not interfering with your rights in any way. So I'm not engaged in aggressing upon you. I'm not engaged in committing force. The only way when you apply force, that's why we have negative and positive rights. I can't have a right that places a duty upon you to supply me with something, because that would require me implementing force against you. I can only have negative rights that don't require you to do anything in order for me to satisfy that right. And as soon as it becomes an obligation to you, then it ceases to be a right. So exercising my rights doesn't involve any force. The only force that would be involved in his scenario is the guy punching me in the face is using force to interfere with my rights.
All rights are is force.
You're talking about government protections, not rights.
No, I'm talking about rights. What is a right?
Tim's completely missing the point of what he's trying to say here.
So,
And I think it's because the idea of what he's trying to say is so insane that Tim can't wrap his mind around it.
It is an intrinsic moral function.
Well, okay.
Or
Intrinsic meaning what?
meanings. If I'll try to explain. If you're born and you live in the middle of the woods, there are things you can do. You can hunt for food. You can defend yourself. You can speak freely. Now, what we've done in the United States
Unless
is
you're born blind and you can't talk.
Which makes zero. Like, this is one of the dumbest possible comebacks. I'm born blind and I can't talk. Okay, well, if my vision comes back, I still have the right to see, to look around. If my speech comes back, I still have the right to speak. I have the right to communicate. It's like a really stupid way to. And it's just a really stupid argument to make.
Right? Then where does your right to speak come from?
You lack the ability to speak,
right?
But you still have the means by which you are alled to do it.
Yeah, but what makes it an intrinsic right to be able to do? Like, where does this idea?
So while I'm watching this, I thought Andrew Wilson was going to walk him down this path of understanding the basic value of humanity. He never gets there. I'll put the link to the video in the description. Leave me a comment, but he never gets there. He generally doesn't believe that there are inherent rights based on the fact that we have value as human beings. And that, to me, is just, I just can't even understand it. It blows my mind. Anyway, hey, like, subscribe, comment, do all the YouTube things. Thanks a bunch. Talk to you later.